It is a matter of great delight for Shri Vishnu Mohan Foundation to welcome the Honorable Governor of Kerala, Shri Arif Mohammad Khan, sir, in the annual conference on Peace and Reconciliation 2021. I request you all to kindly stand at your place for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Now, I would like to invite Ms. Judith Raven, Counsel General of the United States of America, Chennai Council. May I please request Srimati Vaishnavi Ramdas for Shanti Prarthana.
ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिम् ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिम् द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि।
I request
श्री सद्गुरुर्विजयते ज्ञानानन्दमयं Sarasvathi Swami Brahmaikarupinya Pranatavayam Payo Pranatavayam Padayo Pranatavayam.
Now I request Shri M.H. Ghafoor Rahman sir to come on dais for Islamic prayer.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغلوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
I would like to call Dr. Anne Schrader for Christian prayer.
O God, we are one with you. You have made us one with you to know your love and your peace. You have taught us that if we are open to one another, you dwell in us. Help us to preserve this openness and to fight for it with all our hearts. Help us to realize that there can be no understanding where there is mutual rejection. O God, in accepting one another wholeheartedly, fully, completely, we accept you, and we thank you, and we adore you, and we love you with our whole being, because our being is your being. Our spirit is rooted in your spirit. Fill us then with love and peace, and let us be bound together with love and peace as we go our diverse ways, united in this one spirit which makes you present in the world and which makes you witness to the ultimate reality that is love. Love and peace overcome, love and peace are victorious. As Saint Francis prayed, make us channels of your peace. Bless this conference with the fruits of your Holy Spirit and kindle in each one present the joy of your presence. May we be one in the celebration of peace. Amen.
I must invite Shri Antariksh Tatia for Jain prayer.
नमो सिद्धाचार्योपाध्याय सर्वसाधुभ्यो जय वीराय जगगुरु हो मम तुभपभावो भयवम् भवनिव्येहो मग्गानुसार्य इट्ठ फलसिद्धि लोकविरुद्धच्चाओ गुरुजन पुवा परतकरणं च सुहगुरुजोगो तवयन सेवनं मा भवं खण्डा वारी जय जय विनियान बंधनम विराय तुह समये तह विहुज्य मे सेवा भवे भवे तुम चलनानम दुख कहो कम खो समाहि मरणम च बोहि लाभो संपज्जो महेह न हम तुह पनाम करनेनम. This prayer in Prakrit invokes the grace of Arihants who have won over their inner vices and established peace and propagate peace. So we invoke this grace of Arihant and the other gurus so that this conference becomes successful in terms of propagating peace in different ways, where one cleanses himself, Bhava Nirved, he develops how to interact with the world, understands the reality of interdependentness and establishes peace. Jai Jinendra.
I would like to request Mr. Ishwar, very senior devotee of Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation, to felicitate Honorable Governor of Kerala, Shri Arif Mohammad Khan, sir. I request you again, sir, to felicitate Ms. Judith Ravin, Consul General of the United States of America, Chennai Consulate. I request you to felicitate Professor S.R. Bhatt, sir, Chairman, Association of Indian Philosophers International, former Chairman, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi. I request you to felicitate Padma Bhushan Sri Musa Raja, sir, former Chief Secretary, Jammu and Kashmir, Trustee Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation. I request you again to felicitate Dr. Sanjay Paswan, sir, former Central Minister, member Bihar Legislative Council, member National Executive Committee, Bharatiya Janata Party. Thank you, sir. Now I would be delighted to call Shri Padmanabhan ji to deliver welcome address.
Pranams to Shri Sathguru Swami Gnanananda Sarasvathi, our Guru. Pranams to Swami Shri Hari Prasad. Shri Vishnu Mohan Foundation, Chennai, and its founder cum managing trustee, Swami Shri Hari Prasad, have great delight and deem it an honor to welcome His Excellency Shri Arif Mohammad Khan, Honorable Governor of Kerala, to inaugurate the 6th Conference on Peace and Reconciliation, which has the theme of right education is the key to peace. We also deem it an honor to welcome Her Excellency Ms. Judith Ravin, Consul General of the United States of America, Chennai Consulate, to this August function. It's a great pleasure again to invite Dr. Sanjay Paswan, former Central Minister and member of the Bihar Legislative Council and member of the National Executive Committee of the BJP, to this function. And I think for these 3 people, it's their first visit to this foundation. And I hope and I'm sure that this will be a precursor to many more such visits and much more closer and stronger associations with the foundation in future. Of course, it's also a pleasure to welcome Padma Bhushan Shri Musa Raza, who former Chief Secretary, Jammu and Kashmir, and also a trustee of Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation. He is an old friend of the foundation. And we also welcome Professor S.R. Bhatt, former Chairman, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi, again, who has been a pillar of support to the foundation, both as chairman of, former chairman, in his capacity of chairman of ICPR, and also in his personal capacity. He has helped the foundation a lot, not only in terms of getting the grants of ICPR, but also in providing faculty support and so much of guidance. I'd be failing in my duty if we do not welcome Professor Ramesh Chandra Sinha, Chairman, Indian Council of Philosophical Research. He is not here physically due to maybe other preoccupations, but he is joining the session online through Zoom. So he has also been associated with the foundation for over 10 years and has helped us a lot wholeheartedly. So a hearty welcome to Professor R.C. Sinha, sir. I welcome all the other dignitaries, too numerous to mention, all the speakers, and all the audience for this function. I'm sure that under the guidance of Swamiji and with such a great galaxy of speakers we have, it's going to be a very wonderful 3-day event. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmanabhanji. Most respectfully, I would like to invite Swami Shri Hari Prasad Ji, Founder Managing Trustee, Shri Vishnu Mohan Foundation, to introduce the theme of the conference and bless us.
Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Namah Sarvebhyaha, which means my salutations to everyone here. So we are very happy that despite the pandemic and all its attendant disruptions, we are able to conduct this Peace and Reconciliation Conference this year. Normally it's held in the first quarter of the year, but we thought that we could hold it in April, in March or April, but then again, all the restrictions came upon us. So now we are having it now. Though we hope that next year we will be able to hold it in April. So it was a very great matter of satisfaction when Shri Musa Raza spoke with His Excellency and His Excellency accepted to join us in a very murky, tamas-filled world filled with darkness. You, sir, have been a beacon of light and rectitude. And you have been able to work hard for your principles, making sacrifices, and not taking the easy way out. We hope that for many years you will be helping to guide the destinies of our nation and the world. And we are also very happy that all the delegates have been chosen with the care and with the guidance of both Professor Bhatt and Mr. Musa Raza, whom I regard as my mentors. We have carefully chosen each person and we've got this whole conference ready in a month. So it's been very difficult on the people working for the conference. I just kept saying, we do this, we do that. And everyone joined in that very committed way, which is characteristic of Sri Sathguru's disciples. But as we go on with these conferences, we must also hope that people attend these conferences both physically as well as virtually will take away from this some changes in their lives something which helps transform their lives. Because the basic aim of the foundation is self-transformation, transforming people using philosophy, using culture, using music, using pravachan or talks, using dance. So many things we have taken, including street theater, and for conveying the message of inclusivism, of love, and that personal change is the only thing that leads to societal transformation. In fact, that was one of the first seminars we had in Madras University. Actually, the first one we had was called Tarati Shokam Atmavid. Self-knowledge takes us beyond sorrow, helps us to cross over sorrow. Sorrows don't disappear, but then we are able to manage that disappointment, grief, and happiness that comes in our lives through self-knowledge. So I request all of us to take this message to as many people as we can. And I also request the educational persons in education, like the director of Vinayaka Mission Research Foundation, Dr. Anuradha. She is very committed to the improvement of this level of education, and she has worked very hard for it. So young people must be, normally we invite at least 20 to 50 young students to come and sit here during the deliberations when we have these programs. And because of the pandemic, we couldn't do that this time. So we must transform ourselves. So that I end now with one thing which Sathguru told me. I said, we are all very happy, Sathguru, tomorrow you're going to be talking about peace and harmony. Sathguru was always very, very strong on values rather than appearances. The last thing she told me was, it doesn't matter where a person prays or to whom they pray, but whether they pray and how they pray. That was her last teaching to me. So when I told her this, we are very happy that you're going to talk about peace and harmony. She said, I can talk about peace and harmony to you. I can bless you with peace and harmony. But if you want peace and harmony in your life, you have to bring that peace and harmony into your actions, into your thoughts, and into your words. Shri Sathguru Arpanamastu, Shri Krishna.
By the grace of Sri Sathguru and Swami Sri Hari Prasad Ji, Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation is in a position to conduct such a great conference on the theme, Right Education is the Key to Peace. This is my humble request to all the guests on the dais to inaugurate the session by lighting the lamp. Yes. Most respectfully, I would like to request Shri Arif Mohammad Khan, sir, to enlighten us with the words of wisdom.
Her Excellency, Mrs. Judith Rabin, Consul General of USA, Padma Bhushan, Shri Musa Raza Sahab, IAS and former Chief Secretary, Government of Kashmir, Dr. Sanjay Paswan, former Minister of the Central Government, ladies and gentlemen, I am indeed grateful to Swami Shri Hari Prasad Ji for his kind invitation. Although I had agreed when Musa Sahab had spoken to me and Swamiji had spoken on telephone, but he was gracious enough to come personally to Trivandrum to extend the invitation. And he has given me this opportunity to share my views on this important subject and also to visit Shri Vishnu Mohan Foundation and experience the blessings and the spiritual aura of Sathguru Ma. I offer my humble pranams to the memory of Sathguru Ma and thank you very much, Swamiji, for your being so kind to invite me here. Other people, Professor S.R. Bhatt, former chairman ICPR, is also here. Shri K. Padmanabhan, Shri Mahesh Venkataraman, Shrimati Vaishnavi Ramdas, Shri M.H. Ghafoor Rahman Sahab, Dr. Annie Isadar, Shri Antariksh Tatia. In one of the Indian classics or scripture, it has been asserted that Shanti Tulyam Tapo Nasti. Now, Shanti means peace, Nasti means nothing like that. And Tapo is a term which is, it is a bit tricky to translate it. It has been translated as austerity, as penance, self-imposed discipline, decision this is not imposed from outside, but imposing certain discipline on oneself and depriving oneself of certain pleasure activities, rather driving pleasure out of this denial of pleasure. So it's a bit tricky. It is not just one. I think Max Muller has said that there is no Indian hole without two openings. And Max Muller has said so. So about this, and this saying, many people have used it to show that this how same term, same word can be used in different contexts to convey different meanings. And so now, after giving this background, what the classic is asserting is that there is nothing like no austerity, no penance like peace. One thing is absolutely clear, that if you want peace in the society, then you will have to work very hard for it. The classic simply does not describe the merits of the peace. What is being asserted is that peace can come to the society, can be established in the society only as a result of going through tapa. And Panini says, tapa is alochana, reflection, meditation, thinking about something. So it requires both mental powers and physical powers. Like there is, as they say, there is nothing like free lunch. Likewise, peace is not something which can come easily. And again, this is not something which is a one-time affair that we have been able to achieve peace. No, you have to work constantly for it, consistently for it. I would like to compliment Swamiji for choosing the subject, which says the right education is the key to peace. As I said earlier, it's an ongoing, if we want to live in a peaceful society, then we will need to work for it on a regular basis. A lot of mental energy, a lot of physical energy. And as I think UNICEF declaration says, that wars begin in the minds of men. So defenses against the war must also be built in the minds of men. And minds of men, you want to build something in the minds of men, then education is the ultimate answer. You have to create that awareness, that consciousness, that thirst, desire for peace, where if somebody with that mindset sees something happening which is threat or danger to peace, then one reacts against it. He does not think in terms of why I should interfere. No, your interference is needed if you want to live in a peaceful atmosphere. And I have no doubt in my mind that peace is essentially rooted in liberal and generous conduct of human beings. Unless we develop the qualities of liberality and generosity, because then we will be able to concede some, even if I feel that this thing belongs to me, if my decision making is informed by that sense of liberality and generosity, I shall be ready to concede some space. So education, the importance of education cannot be underestimated in this matter. It is through education that you can impart these values to people, particularly to the young generation. And to my mind comes a small story from a great woman of Mahabharata. After the Mahabharata war, many years later, when Dhritarashtra, his wife Gandhari, and mother of the Pandavas, Kunti, they finally decide to go to the forest. Pandavas try to persuade them to change the decision. They do not change. So they go to say adieu to them. After reaching certain distance, Kunti addresses Yudhishthira and she says, Nirvat swa kuru shresht bhim siya devisa dharmete dhyatam buddhi mansate mahdastu cha. She tells him, now enough, go back to your capital. You have the responsibility to run the administration. Therefore, go back. And how to run the administration, how to govern the state? Dharmete dhyatam buddhi. Your mind must be rooted in righteousness. Mansate mahdastucha. And your heart and mind should be liberal and generous. Should be big enough to accommodate different people, different interests. Should be able to harmonize. Unity is if you have the similar views, then unity is not important. How you are going to create unity? When you can harmonize different viewpoints, when you learn the art of living in peace with people who have a different background, who believe in different values, who have different customs and rituals, speak different languages, then that is what really peace and harmony means. And as I said earlier, the importance of education. Everybody here, you don't need a sermon to realize the importance of education. Certainly not everybody realizes the importance of education. That is the only game changer. What is the difference between advanced nations and the backward countries? They have higher level of education. And so is the case among the individuals. And our tradition tells us, nahi gyanen sadirsham pavitra miha vidyate. There is nothing in the world so purifying as the education, knowledge, and wisdom. Why they are purifying? Vidya Vimarsh Rupni. It is education which confers the power of discernment, where you are able to make distinction not only between the right and wrong, but various shades of right and various shades of wrong. Equally valid and legal options, but which option will serve better interest of the individual and the society? That powers come from education, that comes from knowledge, that comes from wisdom. It gives you vivek. So the importance of both being connected is all too obvious. Now, when we talk of education, I have very carefully used three terms: education, knowledge, and wisdom. Because again, the question is, what there are so many branches of knowledge which we can acquire through education. But the knowledge and wisdom which can enrich us with values, which can define the spirit, which can enrich the mind. Not that technical education is not important, medical education is not important. Certainly it is important. But an educated man, woman, highly educated person, always remember, if that person lacks compassion, if that person lacks certain moral and ethical values, then our tradition tells us that this kind of knowledge can become sometimes very dangerous. If you lack compassion, saksharo vipritatve rakshaso bhavati dhurvam. Highly educated man, one does not have sense of compassion, sense of boundaries, sense of duty. Compared to a person who is not educated, this educated person can become a greater danger to the society. And suddenly something has come to my mind, which I had read in a book written by Professor Bipin Chandra. Professor Bipin Chandra was a professor in Jawaharlal Nehru University, and he is famous for his writings on few books on communalism, secularism, etc. He has narrated in one of his books that he was doing his PhD in Germany. And his supervisor, a German professor, Professor Chandra has written that on certain occasions, he lamented that in India, our rate of literacy is very low, whereas in Germany, the literacy at that point of time when Dr. Chandra was doing his research was very high. Then one day, he said it on few occasions. Then his German professor one day told him very sternly, he said, Dr. Chandra, never forget that Germany had the largest number of PhDs when it produced Hitler. And the illiterate Indians produced Gandhi, who became the prophet of non-violence and peace. This is only to emphasize the other point which I was making, that Sakcharo Vipritatve, Rakshaso Bhavati Dhruva. A sense of values which can elevate us spiritually, which can create in religious terms, which is called God consciousness, Takva, Pirbhu Bodh. What is that? When you start feeling the pain of the other. So what kind of education? The right education, Swamiji says. What is the right education? We are not going to invent the wheel again. In Indian tradition, and to begin with, how much time have I already taken? Already? Swamiji, I have already taken 20 minutes. But to understand the kind of education which possibly Swamiji is describing as the right education, Bhagwan Ram is going to the forest tomorrow morning. And in the night, he has already been, he was crowned as, not crowned, a decision announcement was made that he will be crowned as king. But then everything, because of some vow which his father had taken, all decisions were changed and he decided to go to the forest to fulfill the vow which his father had taken, although his father himself was not keen that he should go to the forest, but he decided he is going to the forest. In the night, his younger brother, Lakshman, who had slightly hot temper according to the classics, scriptures, he loses his cool and he says things which are not becoming of his son against his father, holds him responsible for all the misfortune that has befallen on the family. Then Bhagwan Ram tells him, it's a beautiful description. He says, Daho mitiya buddhir vidya sa pirkir tata naham dehaschi datmet buddhi vidyeti pirkirtate. One who thinks that I am this body, this physical being, is victim of avidya, ignorance. Because if you are going to the forest, it is your body, physical body, which will suffer. Your body will suffer, therefore you are saying that you will suffer and your father is responsible for this suffering. Such thinking is born out of avidya, ignorance. The one who is really knowledgeable, he knows I am not this body. I am blissful consciousness. Chaitanya Atma. And that Atma it neither takes birth nor it dies, nor it suffers any pain. It is only the physical body which suffers the pain. So this is the difference between Vidya and Avidya. And about this, there is not one. You can keep quoting endlessly. Gita says, Vidya Vinay Brahmane, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastri, Shuni Chaiv Shwapake Cha Pandita Samdarshina. The real sage is one who knows that whether it is a very humble, educated person or cow or elephant or dog or even dog eater, in the form of soul, they have that divine spark in them. आत्मा के रूप में परमात्मा हर किसी के देह is देवालय. Your body is the temple of God. Why? Because God, there is a verse in Quran Hakim. وَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتَ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. God telling the angels that when I fashion him in due proportion and breathe into him my spirit, then you prostrate before him. This is as the creation story as given, almost same as given in Bible, but this is what Quran says. When I breathe into him my spirit, soul, Atma. So the Atma which each one of us has, we may have different backgrounds, we may have different faiths, we may have different customs, but the Atma which we have, every tradition declares that this Atma is divine. And the ancient Vedas, there are 4 of them. And 4 of them, it is very interesting that each one makes a proclamation of almost same meaning and same nature. Rig Veda says, Pragyanam Brahma. Brahma, and again, Brahma has been used, many meanings are there. Brahma is for God, Brahma is for truth, Brahma is for even consciousness. So Pragyanam Brahma. And Brahma is also for peace. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Shantam Shivam Advaitam. So it is, this term has also been used for peace. Prajnanam Brahma. So we can say God is consciousness. We can also say peace is consciousness. Peace comes as a result of consciousness. Conscious efforts. Then Yajurved says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. Samved says, Tattvamasi, and you are that. Atharva says, I am Atma Brahma. The soul is Brahma. Ruh. अभी मैंने कुरान क्या आया था आपको बताया, I told you, Ruh has come, the Atma has come from God. it is this knowledge. When once I'm trained, Swami Vivekananda, what he says, my mission can be described in very simple words. I want to teach unto mankind their divinity and its manifestation in all movements of life. Once I become conscious, I become aware that the soul is divine. Each being is divine, potentially divine. And through this divine soul, we are all interconnected. Then naturally, I will come to the conclusion that what goes around comes around. I will come to the conclusion that if we are all connected, a mother has 3 children, any of them gets hurt, mother feels the pain. We are not aware because our awareness has not developed to that level. But the simple fact that we are all interconnected through soul, whether we feel it or not feel it, but certainly the pain of anybody and everybody is conveyed to us through that medium. And I often say that modern West has given the concept of dignity of mankind, from which have sprung all the human rights. They are all rooted in the concept of dignity of mankind. The Charter of Human Rights, United Nations. But ancient India had given the concept of divinity of mankind. Possibly, if we had not forgotten this heritage of ours, then in divinity, everything is covered. Once you recognize that each being is potentially divine, but unfortunately, we have not been very true to our heritage. If we have not been, but at the same time, there is no need to feel despair, because India is blessed in this sense that whenever we go astray, it has been assured to us that whenever we go astray, whenever there is decline of morality, decline of humanity, then we have gurus, we have people like Swami Vivekananda. I'm using one name as a generic term. The whole history is full of that. Who again attract our attention and try to restore sanity among us. So this I'm saying that I'm not that I'm, please, not that I'm saying that other branches of knowledge are not important. They are very important. But at the same time, this knowledge, which is knowledge meant to create consciousness and awareness in our hearts and minds, that somebody has said, I don't remember the name. He said, I am a human being, and there is nothing human which does not concern. Hazrat Nizamuddin Auliya Rahmatullah. He was sitting in his small room and he heard that outside some people are talking of Hindu, Muslim kind of thing. He came out. And first I will repeat in Urdu what he told them, and then I will translate it into English. He said, "Tum koi bhi ho, uske ho, aur uske ho to hamare ho." You may be anybody, but you acknowledge that you belong to him. If you belong to him, you belong to me. We have that relationship of belongingness. We are all interconnected. And again, already sir, there are limitations. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. When I was telling you that shlok, which Shri Ramchandji, what he had told his younger brother, and came to my mind that great Shankaracharya, at a very young age, when he set out from Kerala in search of his Guru, and instead of meeting at the ashram, the Guru meets him on the bank of a river. Guru himself had gone to have bath there. And he asked this young boy, "Who are you?" He is asking. Later he found that he was the same person he was looking for. But he asked where his ashram is, and this man asked him, "Who are you?" And there is a beautiful, there are six stanzas. But what powerful composition. Manobudh ahankar chittanina, nacha shrotra jive, nacha ghrandit, nacha vyom bhumir, na tejo navayu, chidanand rupa shivoham shivo. I am neither mind, nor intelligence, nor ego, neither I am the organs of hearing, nor that of tasting, tongue, nose, eyes, neither I am sky. The human body, as we believe, and science also says so, is made of 5 elements. So now he's saying, I'm not those elements. Then who are you? I am ever pure, blissful consciousness. I am Shiva, I am Shiva, I am Shiva. It is this divinity which Swami Vivekananda did not say, I want to teach unto Indians their divinity. No. He said, I want to teach unto mankind their divinity. Because recently COVID has conveyed to us in very powerful terms. Disease anywhere is threat to health everywhere. Corona did not originate in India. It don't originate in US or Germany, but everybody has suffered. Likewise, insecurity anywhere is threat to security everywhere. Poverty anywhere is threat to prosperity everywhere. And if in our neighborhood, people's rights, human rights are being denied, they are being oppressed and suppressed, subjected to violence, and if we feel it is not happening in my city or in my country, we are refusing to learn the lesson which has only recently been given to us. We will have to express, because they are also human beings. Even when people use this term, women rights, empowerment of women. There is nothing like, if you disempower the women, you disempower the society. It does not concern women alone. The whole society becomes weak and feebled. Half of the population you ask to stay back inside, saying their only job is to produce children. So we will have to, we must have some feelings for those people. We can't just allow these things. We know sometimes we are not in a position to do anything about it. But at least, as they say, anything and everything that you say, that stays in the space. So at least express your response to these heinous acts. You express your sympathy for the victims of these heinous acts. I have not seen, now I'm not as old as Musa Sahib, but I'm also going to be 70 this year in November. But I have not seen anywhere where on the day, if it is claimed that the country has won freedom and every freedom fighter is running with guns. Freedom fighters are received with open arms. They are loved. They are applauded. They do not run around in the cities with sophisticated guns. This I have brought in this point only to say that we have to, sometimes we are in a position not to do anything. We are not in a position. But at least we can hope, we can pray that these people who are the victims of these horrors, someday they will get some relief, and they have all our best wishes. Swami, I have already taken enough time, and I do not wish to subject people to long and arduous this exercise. But finally, I would say that the Indian tradition tells us, it has been said in very emphatic terms, Na tat parasya sandhyat priti kulam yadatmana sangar hinish dharma syat kama dhanni pirvartate. Do not do unto others what is hateful to you. It says that is the essence of dharma. Sangar hinish dharma sya kama dhanni pirvartate. And rest is all selfishness. Just be careful about one thing. And that thing is, do not do unto others what is hateful to you. There's a beautiful Semitic story from the Semitic tradition. Rabbi Hillel, who was a contemporary of Lord Jesus, a non-believer comes to him and says, I am ready to embrace your religion, provided you stand up on one leg and read out the whole Bible. He did not say what nonsense you are talking about, did not dismiss him. He immediately stood up on one leg, took the book in his hand and said, do not do unto others what is hateful to you, and sat down. This man said, how come you have finished the whole book in less than a minute's time? He said, this is the whole book, rest is commentary, go home and read it. This is the whole of book. मुबाश दर पे आजार हर्च ख्वाही को के दर शरीयत मा गैर अजीम गुनाह नीस्त. You do whatever you feel like doing. There is no ban on doing anything except one. Do not hurt others. That is the only thing which is not permitted under the divine law. Everything else you are free to do whatever you want to do. But as I said earlier, this is if we really, maybe since you are asking me and something else has come to my mind, there is another one other aspect also, which I think if we want to build a stable and durable peace, then we need to pay some attention to that aspect. Dr. Radhakrishnan has written, has spoken in detail about it, but now at this moment, I'm not going to quote it. In fact, he has quoted from Upanishads, saying that those who have that Atma Gyan, they are found in every tradition. But here I'm going to use what has been written by one, I don't know if I should say one of the great, because he's called Sheikh Akbar, the greatest Sufi, Ibn Arabi. And this may help us to review our own thinking and our own actions. And sometimes how these actions create bad feelings. So Ibn Arabi has said, do not praise your own faith exclusively so that you disbelieve all the rest. If you do this, you will miss much good. Nay, you will miss the whole truth of matter. God, the omniscient and omnipresent, cannot be confined to any one creed. For he says in Quran, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. To God belongs the east, to God belongs the west. Wheresoever you turn to, you will see the exact literal translation is, you will see his face. But we do not see the face of God. But we are informed that God in the form of souls exists in everybody. And there is another very famous Hadith Qudsi, which says that on the day of judgment, God will ask man, I was unwell and you did not come to see me. How can you be unwell? So and so who was unwell was known to you and you did not care to go to see him. If you had gone there, you would have found me with him. Likewise, God will say, I was hungry, I was thirsty, and every time man will be perplexed. How can you be hungry? How can you be thirsty? And every time the response will be, if you had fed this man who came hungry to your door, instead, you would have found me with him. You would have found me with him. So that is why I was saying that we need to cultivate these values. Peace, for building peace, there are so many aspects which have to be attended to. Finally, Swamiji, I want to again compliment you and compliment Shri Vishnu Mohan Foundation. And what you are doing a favor to us. But as far as our tradition is concerned, This is a duty which has been prescribed for you. You have been given the special task, assigned the special Santo Bhumi Tapasa Dhariyati. This saying tells us that it is the saints who, by their self-suffering, by their compassionate activities, maintain this world. This world is maintained only by peace. We can realize, even as individuals, we can realize our potential only when we live in a peaceful atmosphere and environment. In disturbed environment, none of us will be able to fulfill even our duties, what to say of realizing our potential. So you have taken this, and this again, this line also talks of tapas. This is tapas. Tapas is not inflicting suffering on other people. It is your undergoing suffering voluntarily, yourself, for the sake of redeeming humanity. The conference you are holding is definitely a meaningful attempt to redeem the humanity. Finally, I would say that glory, look at the history. Glory is not in confrontation, but in reconciliation. Samvai Eva Sadhu was one of the edicts of Ashoka. Concord is the best. As-sulhu khairun. Conciliation is the best. Pirjanam sandhi moolam hi shamam vidhi shubhanane. Draupadi is arguing with Yudhishthir. You are always talking of peace. Yudhishthir tells her back that people's welfare lies only when peace is maintained. You have drawn not only our attention, your conference, I am sure, will send a message to this groping, uncertain, and disoriented world that it is love, not hate. It is freedom, not fear. It is faith and not doubt that have in them the power to heal the wounds of humanity. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
We are grateful to you, sir, for not only lighting the lamp, but to enlighten the August gathering and shown the path for establishing peace in the world. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to invite for Jewish prayer, Mr. BK. I would like to invite Mr. BK Bose for Jewish prayer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Swamiji. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the eternal is God, and the eternal is one. Before I go for the prayer, I would like to give a brief in 2 words how this particular prayer I am going to say has happened. 3,000 years ago, there was a very handsome, tall, 13-year-old boy by name David who was tending his flocks in the meadows of the hillocks of Bethlehem. One very hot Mediterranean afternoon, and the flocks were filled with tender grass and sweet water. And when they were taking rest, David was leaning at the oak tree, and he went into a slight slumber. A divine music passed through his harp. He was an extraordinarily good harp player also. He got up and immediately he gave verses to that divine music. Thus happened a wonderful prayer which has been said in the maximum number of homes all over the world, including my home, Psalm 23. I will recite it. Dr. Annie, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down on green pastures and leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely the goodness and mercy shall follow me in all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I must invite Shri Mahesh Venkatramanji, Trustee, Shri Vishnu Mohan Foundation, to deliver vote of thanks.
Pranams to Sri Sathguru. On behalf of Sri Gnanadvaita Peetham and Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation, I would like to propose a vote of thanks for today's session. First and foremost, I would like to thank His Excellency Shri Arif Mohammad Khanji for taking his time out of his busy schedule as Governor of Kerala and gracing his presence in this session and delivering a very inspiring inaugural address. I also would like to thank Her Excellency Ms. Judith Revin, Consul General, US Consulate, for your gracious presence today, despite again your busy schedule in your official capacity. Our thanks to Sri Musa Razaji, Trustee, Sri Vishnu Mohan Foundation. He has always been a pillar of strength to and guidance to our foundation. The foundation also would like to thank Dr. Professor Sanjay Paswanji, member of Bihar Legislative Council, for his presence today. And of course, our thanks to Professor S.R. Bhattji for his continued support and guidance to foundation activities. He has been a pillar of strength and guidance for this foundation for so many years. And our pranams and gratitude to Swami Shri Hari Prasadji for his blessings and guidance in conducting this session. His silent presence is always very potent. I thank all the audience and all the volunteers for your time and presence today. Thank you.